Now, if you live in Florida, you know we got a lot of springs here in Florida, but did you know that we have a springs here called Ginger Ale Springs? And it's supposed to have some healing powers. Well, if you didn't, don't worry. I did some digging. Let's get into it. Now, this spring is located in, Central Florida, Seminole County, right along the I-4 corridor and 434. If you heard of it, you know where it is. But this spring is closed to the public, but there's a lot of deep, rich history with this spring. Matter of fact, natives settled in this area with this spring. And the thing about it with the natives, the tribe, the actual tribe that lived in this area, it was said that a lot of the members of this tribe, they lived to be really old, like past 100 years. Now, over the time, a lot of the chiefs in this area, they would keep this place sacred because they didn't want anybody to come here and destroy the area or find out about the healing powers that this spring had. But, over, a couple hundred years and they getting rid of the natives, things in this area changed tremendously. Now, that's where this guy comes into place. This is Dr. Edward Beeman, all right? He's from up north, but ended up moving down to like the Orlando Winter Park area. But before he moved from up north, he had this incredible invention, and this invention helped with stomach aches. Now, his invention was called Pepsin, all right? And what it was pig parts, like the intestines and the guts and stuff, and he created a powder out of it, and he would mix it in different drinks and different forms. But when he created it, it helped, but the sales wasn't really that good. But at this time in America, chewing gum became very, very popular. Now, at this time in America, the chewing gum was made out of chicle, all right? And chicle was very nasty. So what Beeman did, all right, was he mixed his Pepsin, which had a unique flavor. It kind of tastes like peppermint a little bit. And he mixed it with the chicle and created his own gum. Now, the reason why this gum became so popular because when the other gum was out, which was already popular in America, it had no taste, and it basically was just, bland, and it only lasted for about 5 minutes, and then you had to spit it out. But when Pepsin gum came into play, you could chew on it for a good amount of time. Now, all of this was going on in around late 1800s, all right? But the turn of the century, in the early 1900s, he gets, kind of bored with this whole Pepsin gum thing, and he ends up selling his brand to a bigger brand that was doing better than him in America. Now, that turns Beeman into a, multi-millionaire immediately, him and his sons, because his sons are now involved in his business. But when he kind of like retires, his sons take over and they end up buying some property in Orlando. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, the two sons and the father, they end up purchasing this hotel. This is the San Juan Hotel, and it's on Pine Street, downtown Orlando. And they wanted just the best of the best to be here. You got a little money, come here, have a good time. It was a great hotel, and the hotel was doing good. Matter of fact, when they first purchased this hotel, it only had 3 levels. But by the time they ended up selling the place a couple years later, it had about 8 levels to the hotel. Like I said, they ended up selling the hotel a few years after them purchasing it and renovating it and doing all this stuff. They were really busy and they didn't want the headache of having to run the hotel, so they ended up kind of leasing the hotel to another company for like $1.5 million. And back then, that's a lot of money. But they bought a house in Winter Park, and the dad was like, and the two sons, they were like, look, we gotta do something, all right? So why don't we try to do some different endeavors? And that's exactly what they did. Now, the father and the two sons, they wanted to get into the bottling industry, like water and different beverages and stuff like that. So they started off with water, and they started off with ginger ale because remember, bro got the Pepsin powder that he invented. It's still his. So what he wanted to do was he wanted to make a drink that could ease the stomach. Now, that's where this spring comes into place because at this time, they buy some land, all right? And on that land, they noticed that there was a spring here, all right? Not just a regular spring. It was a sulfur spring, magnitude 5, all right? And at this time, they didn't know about the healing properties of this spring. They didn't find that out until later, but they started using this spring to bottle up their water. It was highly successful. Now, this is the boil of the spring. It's just capped off by this 3.5 foot, wall thing here, and this is where all the activity would go on here at this spring. This is where they say the healing powers are. So he would bottle the water right here, filter it, do whatever they got to do, and this water was selling. I'm talking about selling. I mean, they went all out with the marketing on this thing. He said, look, we might be a Florida-based company, but what we're going to do is we're going to hire a marketing company that could cover, your whole United States. And that's exactly what they did. And the water just blew up. So when the water did good, they said, look, let's just move on something else because Coca-Cola was coming, being real popular at the time. And he said, my ginger ale with my Pepsi could blow Coca-Cola out of the water. When he started selling this ginger ale, it was flying off the shelf, all right? People were drinking it. They saying I was feeling better, was getting rid of their stomach aches. So the theory behind this, spring being a healer was really starting to take off. Now, things were going good for their company for, decades, all right? But other brands and other companies and other bottling companies, they start coming around in the area kind of like, messing up their business or whatnot. So they end up selling again and kind of retiring after a few deaths in the family. Now, look, I want to pause that for a second, all right, and discuss something about these springs and the healing powers, all right? So a lot of the news stations in Central Florida go out here and do stories all the time. But in 2023, they went out here and did a story, with a guy, and there was a homeless man here, all right? The homeless man was about 60, 70 years old. And the guy that was doing the report said that the homeless man said, I bathe in this spring every day, right? I drink from it. I do all kind of stuff from this spring. And the guy that was doing the report said, this guy didn't look 60, 70 years old. He looked like he was in his 30s. So it gets me thinking that this spring might have some healing powers. Now, it is also said that people come here, all right, and get baptized here inside of this spring once upon a time. And scientists have also done, research on the water here, and it's high in minerals, real high in good minerals. And now I'm sitting there thinking to myself, is this the fountain of youth? Was Mr. Ponce de Leon right about searching for the fountain of youth? All the springs that he could have ran across, he just missed it. Because I think this could be the fountain of youth. And another thing, why can't we come here? Why is it, out of all the springs in Florida, you want to shut down this spring? Is it because it's the fountain of youth? Is it because it has healing powers, high in minerals? Makes you want to think. Now look, who am I to say that this is the fountain of youth? But I will say that it checks off a lot of the boxes. And I have to reiterate, please do not go visit in this place because it is not, you can't go there. Okay? You can't go there. Signs up. And you will get arrested and they'll prosecute you and all kind of stuff. People do go there. A lady passed away there and they, do memorial stuff, but that's it. And the homeless guy, he's there. But you don't go. The more you know. Peace.